What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube. And today I've got another edition of Tales from the Fort, where I watch classic movies, usually horror, and tell you guys the things about them that stand out to me. And when I pick older horror movies, you know usually I'm going to love them, or at very least have a lot to say about them. And I've got a lot to say about today's choice from 1997. Joe Bob Briggs, as you guys know, raised me on Monster Vision, now does The Last Drive-In on Shudder. If you've not seen Joe Bob Briggs' The Last Drive-In on Shudder, go check that out. Get Shudder, it's very cheap, the show is great, and Joe Bob brought me my first ever horror anime. Now, usually, you know me, you know I don't do subtitles, and I really never really do anime. But Joe Bob presented the movie, I wanted to give it a shot, and boy, am I glad I did. I'm talking, if you've seen it, you know, about 1997's Perfect Blue. This is considered one of the deeper and more diverse and darker horror anime movies of all time. This was directed by Satoshi Kon, who only directed 4 feature films before he died. Sadly, he's considered one of the better directors in this genre ever. And now that I've seen this movie, I really want to go back and watch Paprika and some of the other movies that he is known for. This was written by Sadayuki Mirai, Yoshikazu Takaguchi, and Rika Takahashi. My God, I hope I didn't butcher those. That was tough. I'm not even going to try and do the actors, but it is starring characters named Mima, Rumi, and Maymania. And basically, this movie is the story of the character of Mima, who she is part of a 3-person all-girl group. She's one of those pop idol Japanese singer groups, and in spite of being kind of famous in their niche, in their kind of cult audience, she wants to go become a famous actress. So she's quitting singing to become an actress. And with that comes an identity crisis and a lot of self-regret and self-doubt and sacrifices for the craft. And you see her struggles as she goes from one career to the other and what it means in terms of stalkers and the internet and all kind of stuff. There's such a layered story here. This movie is 1 hour and 21 minutes and goes by very quickly. I was not laboring reading subtitles at all. Again, I'm somebody that likes to read separately from watching movies, and the subtitles did not bother me at all. I heard people were picking this up without the subtitles. They were getting the DVD without even getting the subtitles, and they still love it so much because the art itself is so beautiful. But yeah, basically we're looking at the story of Mima transitioning from one career to the other, and what that means in terms of self-doubt and sacrifice and stalkers and the internet and bipolar disorder and especially all the different things that go into your inner battles, your regretfulness and your choosing careers and who people are around you, who you expose yourself to. There are so many layers to this film. My number one positive lumps into 2 already, and that's themes and layers. This anime film, again, 1 hour and 20 minutes, that could have easily been 2 hours, and I wouldn't have minded because they tackle so many things. This is 1997, so we're right on the cusp of the popularity of the internet, right? Like home computers became a thing in like the early 90s, mid 90s, and became kind of popular around this time. So in 1997, like getting on chat rooms and being on dedicated chat groups and talking to people through AIM and stuff just became a thing. I would have been about 11 years old at this time. And so we see Mima has potentially a stalker. There's somebody who every time we see her looking through the camera backs up and is doing a POV shot where somebody is watching Mima. And you get a sense that she is being stalked, and you don't know whether that's because she has fans from her old girl group or whether she has people that are following her career into acting, or both. So you get a layer of that. You also get the price of fame. You get, as she goes from one career to the other, you see the girl group kind of become a little more successful, even though it's in their own niche. So she regrets leaving the girl group to go into acting. So she kind of misses the group and they kind of go on without her. So she feels lost and a little bit like she was unimportant. She also realizes that acting is not as easy as she expected because she's not getting opportunities. She does get force-fed a couple just because of her name value, which is another theme, but then she doesn't get the parts that she wants. The only line she has in her first TV series that she works on is a very important self-reflective line about who am I? Who am I is a big theme in this. Discovering oneself and making friends with one's choices and where those choices and consequences lead. Every action having a reaction is a big theme in this movie. We deal with stalking. We deal with the dangers of the internet. We deal with the dangers of the friends and jealousy around us. And we deal with the split personality disorder. I know it's called something else now. I always forget the name of the personality disorder that surrounds it. But it's kind of the split thing that Shyamalan covered before. And again, I apologize for not having the proper name offhand. But it deals with the multiple personalities and kind of stepping outside of yourself and kind of seeing the good and bad of your struggles and kind of what you present to the world versus what is inside of you and what struggle you're having when you're alone by yourself. Depression and anxiety are a big part of this as well. And there's just so much to it. The next positive that I have is Reality Blur. This not only is this a movie that follows the reality and the mania, the thoughts, the dangers, the harmful tendencies that the human mind creates for Mima and for the other characters in this movie. But by the middle portion, especially going into the end, we don't know what's real and what's not. They blur the lines of reality so well, and they do it in such a way that not only puts the viewer in a place where you can empathize and relate to Mima, and you hope that she's doing okay, but not only are you cheering for her, you feel what she's feeling. You're disoriented. You're wondering what's real and what's not. She's waking up in bed. You don't know what's a dream. You don't know what is her other personality coming out. You don't know what somebody else is putting into her head. You don't know what is a flashback to the TV series she's working on, which parallels her real life. You don't know what's a flashback and a flash forward. They disorient you so much, but not in a way that makes you give up on it or makes you feel too confused. It's a way that makes you want to discover what's happening. You're following along the journey, and as you get more lost, you're not getting disconnected from the film. You're just getting disconnected from reality, which is exactly where the character is going. So that's really, really important. And they give you little hints too in the Reality Blur. They give you hints in terms of coloring and lighting and shots, sometimes film shots that have multiple layers to them that make you want to go back and watch the movie a second or third time to get some of those clues, because they do give you very subtle clues that give this rewatchability. Not only are you watching this for the mystery to unfold, but once you know what the mystery is, now you can go back and look for the clues they've laid, which gives this the opportunity to be watched multiple times, which I love. I want to now go own this on DVD. I don't have any anime in my collection. I don't even know if I have any subtitles in my collection, but I want to own this now to watch it over and over again so that I can piece together the stuff that I missed and make my own assumptions on things too, because there are some things that are open-ended in a way that lets the audience make their assumptions on what's happening as well. Use of colors and lighting is my next positive. A lot of times when we're seeing bright whites on the screen, and again, this could be some spoilers. This movie is 26 years old, so I'm sorry I'm spoiling it from 1997, but a couple spoilers. When you see white on the screen, when there are white borders and things light up and get very illuminated on screen, that is usually not a reality piece. That is the other personality coming out. DID is the dissociative identity disorder was the term that I was looking for, so I apologize to that community for not having that written down offhand. But DID, when you have the other identity coming out, you see the flash of white lights, which means that in the white, you're getting kind of the danger. When you're in the light, you're getting a danger of something negative happening on screen. You're getting setups, you're getting potential murders, you're getting a bunch of things that are negative. When you're in the dark, which is usually when you should be scared, that's when you're safe. When you're rounding dark corners, you still feel tense because you know something's going to pop out. But the dark is when you're the safest. When you're in the light and you should finally be able to breathe and feel safe, that's when things are happening. So you're always on edge, you're always alert, and you're always looking around the corner. They use things like reflective surface shots, where you're seeing the perception of oneself in the mirror and the real person's self not in the mirror, or vice versa. You're seeing one person's actual visage, and then next to them, the other person that looks just like them, or the reflection of themselves, is who they actually portray. So you're getting dual-layered shots that mean something. in this movie. I heard that Darren Aronofsky used these exact shots and bought some rights and some licensing to this movie so that he could use exact shots and themes of this movie in Requiem for a Dream and Black Swan. And I love both of those movies because of their psychology and their intensity and the layers and themes they cover. And those things are kind of non-subtitled, non-anime versions of this movie, which makes sense why I love them all so much. Satoshi Kon directed this beautifully. It is loosely based on the novel Perfect Blue, but it's very loosely based. So I would watch the movie over reading the novel. Light is harmful. That's another note that I had, which again is what I covered earlier. When things are lit up, they give you clues as to what's really happening, or where the main personality versus the dual personality are on screen. But light is harmful. Character duality, I love in this. Every character gets to a place where they're all kind of either manic or depressed or heightened sensitivity to things, or they're all kind of going through a similar journey. You have the three main characters in this, Mima, Rumi, and Mimania. Rumi is Mima's manager, who used to be a pop idol herself, and Mimania is the person who's in love with Mima, who is the stalker. And all three of these characters have layers to them. You understand parts of all these characters. Less so Mimania, not as much Mimania, because Mimania is a stalker with potentially harmful intentions, but it comes from a root of love. Mimania winds up stalking and trying to kill Mima because he's basically falling for, long story short, in the spoilers, Rumi is the one that is dressing up like Mima and pretending to be Mima's old pop idol self. She is convincing herself and convincing Mimania and trying to even convince the real Mima that Mima has made the wrong choice by going into acting, and Mima suffers a really dark rape scene as an actress. She signs up for this rape scene and then realizes, I didn't actually want to do this. I was trying to further my career. I feel disgusting about it now. And so Rumi, who knows this, is using these things against Mima. Mima feels now impure and like she made the wrong decision. So Rumi is now dressing up as Mima, trying to capture Mima's success as a pop idol and kind of cash in on the fact that she never got to be a famous pop idol. And he's using that duality against her and manipulating the stalker Mimania and using Mimania's love for Mima. And Rumi tries to convince Mimania to kill Mima because she's not pure and because she didn't stick to her roots as a pop idol. Now, I know with a lot of those names and me rattling all that off, that's a lot to take in. If it sounds like a fun psychological deep dive, that's exactly what it is. I apologize if I didn't do it justice by trying to explain what these characters' motivations are, but essentially you understand Mima's transition from one career to another. You understand her self-regret and self-doubt. You understand the bully and the sacrifice and the positives and negatives to what she's choosing to do to try and be an actress. You understand Rumi getting delusional for the price of fame, trying to do anything for stardom, losing herself to find herself inside somebody else. Mimania getting manipulated from the love of one of their pop idols, now trying to become a stalker and a killer. You see these dual layers to everyone, and not only do they all become darker and sadder, but they become more dangerous as they go along. They've all got dual parts to their own personalities, which leads me to my final positive, Folie de Toi. Now, I probably butchered that, but Folie de Toi essentially is a shared delusion. So Folie de Deux is shared delusion of 2. Folie de Trois is shared delusion of 3. Essentially meaning that all three of these characters are kind of linked in the same loss of sanity. They're all kind of delusional in believing they're somebody else or believing that what they're doing is good, no matter if their intentions are good or bad. They think their intentions are good because they can justify their intentions. So they all become darker and scarier and sadder and believe they're doing the right thing in spite of how negative their reactions are causing people to be. So this is just one of those movies that, again, if you want a deep dive with really deep characters doing relatable things in a very dark way, this thing has a good soundtrack. This thing is beautifully shot. This thing has great mirror images and camera work. This thing is expertly directed by Satoshi Kon. This thing covers bullying and careers and the internet and stalkers. There are so many things, and self-harm and DID. There are so many layers to something like this, and a lot of these things are way ahead of their time, whereas you see more things coming out like that now with Black Swan and stuff like that. This was a anime that was in 1997. I cannot speak enough to what this thing has given us. At the end, we find out that Rumi is doing this. She is trying to get back to her roots by framing Mima and making Mima lose reality. She almost kills herself by impaling herself on a piece of shattered mirror, trying to save her wig that makes her look like Rumi. She believes so much that it makes her look like Mima. She believes so much that she is Mima that she impales and almost kills herself on shattered glass just to get her wig back, to hide her true identity and be who she wants to be, hiding in plain sight. And then she goes out in the middle of the street, sees the flashing lights, again, harmful lights, sees the white light, thinking she's on stage and getting a crowd applause, and almost gets herself killed by an oncoming truck. Mima then saves Rumi, realizing Rumi as her manager and friend for a long time, doing things out of psychosis. Mima snaps back into her reality just in time to save Rumi, in spite of the fact that Rumi tried to frame and make her doubt and kill herself. So Mima then comes in to save her, goes to visit Rumi in a psychiatric home, when people realize, oh, there's the real Mima. She's famous now as an actress. And Mima acknowledges, yes, I am real, finally separating reality from fiction, but also opening the door to more potential psychosis in the future. What a freaking movie. What a freaking beautiful, well-layered, technical, dark, well thought out characters with a lot of duality, a lot of flashbacks, and making the viewer feel the insanity and the pressure and the tension that the characters feel. I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10, one of the highest ratings I've ever given on this channel ever. The highest rating I've ever given any kind of movie with subtitles or any kind of anime. First anime on this channel ever, and now you see why. This thing is a 9 out of 10. I think it should still be on Shudder. If you get a chance, go check it out immediately. If you can watch the Joe Bob Briggs version, check that out on The Last Drive-In on Shudder, because that's an even more valuable thing where you'll get more BTS news and kind of stories and fun factoids about the film. So tell me in the comments down below if you've seen Perfect Blue, and if you have, give me your thoughts on it, but also give me other things in this vein. I don't know anything about anime, and I know very little about subtitles, and if you have other subtitled movies or especially animes in this same vein that give you this much of a layer and this much of an important story that you think I'd be into based on my review of this, please give me those recommendations down in the comments. I want to hear from you. I want more recommendations for more deep stuff like this so that I can expand my horizons and have more important, thick, layered, deep, dark things to talk about on this channel. Please tell me in the comments what you thought of this and what else I should review. And please like, share, and subscribe if you like these deep dives, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.